Hello everybody and welcome to episode 17, maybe. Wait, I have it written down. Welcome to episode 17 of the AndersMillknits podcast. I'm your host Emily, and you can find me on Instagram as aka Millie907 and on Ravelry as aka Millie. And then we also have a blog site through WordPress, called AndersMillknits.wordpress.com. And the last couple episodes I have not put up show notes, and that's my fault. Life has been, as I say every podcast, busy. And so it just hasn't happened. And I want to rectify that, believe me, I do. However, I find it much easier to write down my notes than to type them up. I'm still an analog kind of girl. So I have them all on the next page. Not very much on the next page. This is all in review notes. So anyway, welcome to all you new viewers. And thank you for returning, all of you, my lovely ladies. I adore all of you so much. You're so awesome. And man, it is so fun to talk to you guys online and to get to know you. And so, anyway, why don't we jump into reviewing some notes? Watson. No, he's in my lap, so he has to protect me. So in the last, say, 3 weeks, wow, it's been a while. In the last 3 weeks, a lot has happened. My parents are currently in town. Tomorrow is Saturday, and that's going to be their last day here. They leave Sunday, like midday, and so that's going to be our last hurrah with them. So we're going to have a happy birthday party for my husband, whose birthday is next Thursday, and a happy Mother's Day party here at my house, my apartment, our apartment, whatever. So I've been out all morning getting Chris's birthday present because I was determined not to get his birthday present up until the last minute because it's so big, like the Christmas present, that I just didn't want it taking up so much room in the house. Like it's not going to take up so much room in the house. Let's see if I can pan around. Now, I have no idea how this is going to be, but you guys will see his Christmas present out and being used. We use it pretty regularly. And then his birthday present, which is wrapped in front of the fireplace. So let's see if I can get it. You guys see that? So he's got his inversion table. So we go upside down, and then he's got his happy birthday thing all wrapped and ready to go in front of the thing as well. I hope you guys saw that. I go big, I guess, when it's his birthday. So I did that this morning. I did a lot of work this morning. Have quite a few rough cases right now. Not as in rough as in like I'm having a hard time with them, but rough as in there's a lot of complexity to these cases. And my clients and the providers themselves, and some of the more senior people in the state have been called in and are overseeing. They were called in before I even got these clients, and then I got them in the last couple weeks, and so it's kind of like a lot of pressure on me because now all of a sudden these senior people who run this program statewide through this, the state officials are having me report directly to them, but they're being very nice, and they really like all the things that I'm doing, and so that's really encouraging. And but at the same time, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just little old Emily. Why are these people paying attention to me and noticing what I'm working on? And this is weird. So that's been happening. So putting in a lot of hours as per my usual. So like last week I put in 34 work hours, billable hours, which computes to about 65 to 70 actual work hours. And I did all of that before Friday because I wanted to take Friday off because that was the first day my parents were in town. So yeah, it was interesting. And I tried to podcast last week. I was sitting in the parking lot of my parents' hotel because my dad had told me don't come before such and such a time. Well, I was ready to go, and I had taken back the company vehicle to the office, and there was no point in me going all the way back to my little hometown, the town where I live, with my car and then just turn around and go back and get my parents like almost immediately. So I just went to their hotel and I was just sitting in their parking lot trying to record, and I think I got about 5 minutes in and my dad says, "Where are you? We're ready to go." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I'm supposed to still have another hour and a half." Oh well, so that didn't happen. But the things that have happened in the last few weeks is my husband treated me to a play. He took me out a couple weeks ago to the Beaverton Civic Theater, and we went and saw Death by Design, which was so cute and so funny. And I will tell you this, I was incredibly impressed with the level of, what do you say, theatrics? I don't know. I'm more of an opera person. I know more of that kind of stuff. But I do love going to plays. I don't get to do it very often, but I do love it. And personally, I like the plays where it's not so much drama as in kind of funny, ha-ha, and that kind of thing. And my husband knows that, and he knows I also love English things, British things. And so a combination of all of that was this play, and these were all local actors, half of whom had never acted before in their lives. As in, I think they must have done like high school performances and stuff, but this was their first time on any actual like grown-up stage, and they were fantastic. So we were busting a gut. We did feel a little bit out of place because you could tell that the people who were at the theater were regulars. They knew each other and everybody was talking to each other, and my husband and I were just sitting there and in the middle of the theater, and I was knitting on my sock, and which was so funny, by the way, because my husband and I are sitting right in the middle of the theater because that's my favorite spot when I go to a play or an opera. Well, actually, with an opera, I like to be in the mezzanine. I feel like the acoustics are better. And, well, at least back home in my theater back home. I don't know about here because I've never gotten to go. They're too expensive. And I was on a master's getting your diploma budget. I don't know what the word is. School. Anyway, I was broke. So I was sitting there knitting, and we're probably about half the people there were around our ages, mid-30s, early 40s, and then there were about the other half were seniors. And what was hilarious to me is I'm sitting in the middle of this theater knitting on my sock, and just one seat over there was the whole rest of the row was all seniors. And they were all on iPads and their smartphones playing, looking at Facebook status updates and playing different card games and like, what's that where you burst things, or Candy Crush, that was it. And all this kind of stuff. And I turned to my husband and I was like, what's wrong with this picture? Traditionally, I think it was really cool, personally. Because I don't generally get on my phone unless I'm going to Instagram, or I'm recording, or I'm talking to somebody on the phone. And then, of course, half the time I'm using my work phone for that. Because nobody calls me on my home phone. Everybody just called me for work. Anyway, so that was a lot of fun. And we went out to dinner afterward. Can't remember where now. Might have just been Dairy Queen, because I remember my husband saying that he really wanted an ice cream. He loves their ice creams. What are they, Blizzards? I think that's where we went. Then after that, here's the other thing. So the past couple weeks, probably for like a little over a month, at least once a week, I am finding face-up pennies, and not just randomly as I'm walking around a neighborhood or anything like that. No, 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 no. I'm finding face-up pennies around my car when I go out to it, like where the trunk area is, but I haven't been in the trunk, so it couldn't have fallen out from me, or by one of my passenger, or by the hood or something. I'm finding face-up pennies, and I think at this point I have a running total of 7 face-up pennies, and I'm saving them because I don't know, it's just, I'm finding it interesting, and I'm thinking, well, what does this mean? Does this mean that my luck is changing? I didn't know that I had really bad luck, but my husband's been going through some stuff, and you know, I've been going through some health things that I've talked about before, and so I just was like, maybe our luck's changing. And I just been fighting. My husband thinks it's so weird that I'm fascinated by this phenomenon, but you know, I'm a superstitious kind of gal. I believe in the hereafter. I believe in ghosts. I believe in a heavenly Father who loves us. I believe in, you know, I believe in the power of belief. Does that make sense? And the power of hope and faith. And so when I'm seeing these things, and I'm not an omen seeker or anything like that, but when I'm finding all of these things at the same time, it kind of lifts my spirits a little bit and gives me a little bit extra energy to meet the challenges of my life. So that's been really fun. You know, just a little tidbit there. So what have I been doing since my parents have been in town? So let's see, last Friday was shopping, because online shopping unless it's somebody's birthday and they're sending them something, and they don't go shopping for themselves. Well, they came down with a whole list of things they needed to get, or they wanted to get. Some of the things they couldn't get back home unless they did it online, and they don't want to do that online. Does that make sense? So I took them shopping all over the suburbs of Portland. We didn't really go into the Portland city center at all because there was no need, and I don't enjoy that, and my dad definitely doesn't enjoy that, and neither does my mom. Then Saturday we decided to go to the zoo with the nieces and nephews and my brother, of course, and so we went, and it we just had the greatest time at the zoo. It was Kids Safety Day, so we did a little bit of that, but Eli, my brother, was like, oh, my kids don't need to know about this, they know it all. So I was like, oh yeah? So I started quizzing them, and dang if they didn't know it all. About calling 911. You know, my nephew, Moses, he knows all the stuff for first aid. It was just astounding. And then he started quizzing me, and I failed. He asked me the question about frostbite, and I thought I knew the answer, but I failed. Anyway, so we were seeing all the animals, and of course I love so many different ones. I posted that my favorite at the time, which was the goats, but then we just kept on going, and they were all my favorites. Like, the giraffes were just, the giraffes just boggle my mind. Like, and they're so amazing. I just watch them in there, and so amazing. And then they had this atrium type area where, sorry, now it's gotten really white out there. Maybe I'll have to lower the shades. They had an atrium type area where we walked in, and they had, you know, those places where, well, they just had those long silicone noodle type things that you walk through as if you're going into a high contamination area, or right, where everything needs to be clean. But really what it was for this purpose is inside this huge atrium they had all these birds, and I never knew that they had a bird sanctuary at the Portland Zoo. And I've gone to the zoo ever since I've moved here. So shh, gentle and calm. No. Yeah, I know. And the birds were just amazing. I love birds so much. They're so unique and gorgeous, each and every one of them. Whether you're exotic or not, actually I kind of prefer the not, but the exotic ones are just beautiful in of themselves. I'm scared of birds, as in like I can't have them land on my arm or me touch them or anything, but I love watching them from far away and being like, oh, you're so majestic and beautiful and all this kind of stuff. So, and then of course there was the hippopotamus. Well, I'm gonna pause here because my husband's coming home for lunch, and then when I return, we're gonna talk about who won the latest giveaways on the group. So I'll see you guys soon. Okay, so we're back. So we have some giveaways to do today, don't we? So the first one is the first two are to celebrate our 100 subscribers on the podcast. And there are two prizes for this. Where's the other one? Hopefully I can find it. Uh-oh. The first one, so this is how I did it. I started a Excel file, and what I did was I put all the names in for the people who posted on the YouTube channel, the blog post, and then I inserted in all of the people. Well, no, I didn't insert that. So I had all of those lined up, and then I had all of the people who posted in the Ravelry thread as well. So I added all that up, and we got over 30. So I put in 2 through 30, saying that I counted my first thing as an entry. I mean, anyway, 2 through 30. And the first winner was the first winner was The Yarn Goes On, Lisa, from Caledonia, Wisconsin. And Lisa, who has been so wonderful this whole time, I think, Lisa, you've been watching since the beginning, and you've just been so encouraging and so lovely. I just adore you. But you won this beautiful bag from the Pearl and Plum. And I love my bag. I've been using it. Oh, I got a little fiber on it. Sorry. Let's see. Oh yeah, this is the one that has the pocket inside, and it's got her little card in there in case you want to check her out. So she's the Pearl and Plum on Etsy, and they have their own podcast as well. So Vivian and her daughter have the Keep Calm and Knit On podcast, which is an Audible podcast. And so Vivian was so kind as to send this, and it's a drawstring, which is my favorite. I love drawstrings. Actually, all bags are my favorite. I can't say one is over the other. But Lisa, if you'll get a hold of me, I will send this on to you as soon as I can. Well, as soon as you get a hold of me. Then the other one I pulled was for the needle holder, Needle Cozy, from the Rusted Stitch from Stephanie, which I love my two that I have. They are so amazing. I love them. And it matches oh so well with the hand spun. Oh, it's so soft and squishy. There's so much here too. I would say this goes between fingering and sport. It's got a good loft to it. And this goes to a mom in AK, who is my friend Terry back home in Alaska, my knitting friend. Like, what's the coinky dink? I don't know, but I'm sure glad you two ladies won. Then, on top of that, we have our winner from the April Double Dip Cal to give away. And that one was this beautiful skein here, which is the Great Lakes hand dyed, which, like I've been saying, I'm not sure if she's still dyeing or not, but this is the Easter colorway. If I had been podcasting correctly on the correct timeline, you would have gotten this. But the winner for that one is number 21. I think it's IMECOLL. I'm a Cole. But or it's Lmecoll. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Sometimes you know how with typing capital I's look like lowercase L's. So I don't know. But this is Linda from Bensalem, Pennsylvania. And I know that Linda, for the last 2 months, she's been a newer podcast watcher, and she's already joined into our other Summer Stripe Along group, and she's getting geared up for that. I know that. So I don't think this is stripy, but it doesn't really matter because it's gorgeous. So Linda, get a hold of me and PM me on Ravelry at AKA Millie, all of you guys. I know Terry, you know how to get a hold of me otherwise, but get a hold of me and I will send those prizes all out to you. So then, well, we opened up the May double dip cowl, and so you're asking yourself, what's being given away in that? Well, I was on such a yellow kick. I've been really loving yellows. And this is a dyer that I've loved from the very beginning. She and I actually use the same base, or when I was hand dyeing yarn, we got our fiber and bases from the same mill. And I love what she does with it. So this is Highland Handmaids. I've forgotten her real name. Is it Stephanie? It's not Stephanie. I've just got Stephanie on the brain. But this is her Limitless colorway in her Sugar Maple sock. That's kind of looking washed out. At least it is to me on the screen right now. So just in case, it's got a goldenrod yellow. It's so good. With a navy blue. And then a softer blue, and they just come into each other, and there are these little blips where the blue and the yellow meet up for just a half sec, and you get these beautiful greens. And I never knit this up. I was planning on knitting this for a friend for socks, and I never did it, and I just thought, you know, let's stick with the cheerful yellow color. So this is 425 yarn, 75% superwash wool, and 25% nylon. So you can put this in the washing machine, not in the dryer, but in the washing machine. So that's what the May one is. And so just a reminder, go into the Ravelry group, and if you're participating in any knit alongs or crochet alongs on the internet, on Ravelry, Instagram, Pinterest, I don't know, all these different places, a blog someplace. If you're knitting along with it, post the details in the appropriate month thread, like for this month, May, obviously. And so you need to post the dates that it is going. You need to post an active link if the link doesn't work, and I do check. If the link doesn't work, then that post is disqualified, to the knit along or crochet along or craft along. And then at least a work in progress. It can't be a cast on edge. It needs to actually have some work going on with it. And I will say, oh my gosh. So Linda, she knit this beautiful colorwork sock, and she was entering it into a whole bunch of different cows, and I just really loved that sock, Linda, by the way. It was gorgeous. Gray with orange, and you know, it struck me, I'm not really sure how that pattern works. So if you want to post down below on what pattern you use for that sock, that'd be awesome, because I want to do it. So anyway, you just list all of those things and put in a picture of your work in progress or finished object in some cases. And then Bob's your uncle. You're entered to win. And we do this every month for the whole year. I'm not sure if it's going to go into 218, but I'm really enjoying myself. So, you know, we'll see. And that's the prizes that are going on right now. So then we have another super cool knit along going on. I mentioned it briefly just a second ago with Linda's stuff. So I won't get into the whole thing, but there's a summer stripe along, craft along, and that we've created a group for that on Ravelry called the Summer Stripe Along CAL, and a bunch of podcasters and I have gotten together to host it, and it's really exciting. We got to Google Chat for a little bit this last week, and so the people who are involved, and this is going to run from June 1st to August 31st, and we're not accepting anything that's already started, so you need to wait till June 1st to cast on. And the podcasters who are participating is Karen from Simply Stashless, Amy from Hudson Valley Knits, Helen from Giddy Knits, she's in the UK, and then myself from Emily from AndersMillknits. And we've got some wonderful prizes. I'll just remind you of the one that I have in my possession, which is the Kirby Werby sock yarn. Oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous. And I'm trying my hardest to get my hands on some Kirby Werby. Stephanie and I tried really hard to get in on the update that happened last week, I think it was, and we just, oh, man. I was in the grocery store and I didn't have good enough cell phone service, so Stephanie was trying to get it for us. But she's like, every single time I put something in, she was carjacked a half a second later, so she was sold out within like 10 seconds or something like that. It was crazy. People, there's a reason why she's amazing. But this colorway is an oak colorway. It's called Just For You. Ah, it's so gorgeous. I love that pink and the orange, the blues, the aquamarine blue in there. Oh my gosh. It's so gorgeous. So that's just one. We have a lot, and I've been remiss. I haven't been very good at updating the group with all of the prizes that we have listed, but we're going to be doing that. And you can be knitting anything, knitting, crocheting, sewing, just so long as it's got a striping element within it. So like if there is fabric that stripes and you use that for a project, well, Bob's your uncle. If you stripe the fabric yourself, if the yarn is self-striping, or if you take a whole bunch of yarns together and create a striping project, there you go. However you want to interpret this, perfectly fine with me. For me, like things like chevrons count because that's striping to me. I'm going to be knitting at least a sweater and a couple socks. And you'll see soon, maybe even a secret project for you guys too. So we've opened a chatter thread, so you can go in there and talk to us. We've been planning a lot of things. Then we're going to open a FO thread for all of your finished projects of any crafting variety. Just put it all in the one FO thread once June 1st starts. Then also we've decided that we're going to have some virtual knit nights, and Amy, so far Amy of Hudson Valley Knits is going to be sponsoring this part, and I'm so excited because she's really good at this. She's the one that headed up the one that we just had recently, so all of us could get together online and chat, and that was really fun. I just adore Amy. And then we also decided that we're going to have some swaps of varying varieties, and Stephanie Hot Pink Socks, who helps me with all of my the administrati with the group, she's going to also help. She was her idea. And, I mean, like, the swap was her idea, and so I was like, hey, you want to head it up? And she was like, yeah. So she's got a bunch of ideas for that. And so keep tuned on all of that. So we're going to it's going to go gangbusters, guys. And our whole goal in all of this is to create a big community and of a cow, you know. So thank you so much to everybody who has sponsored and who is willing to sponsor. And if anybody would like to sponsor a prize, get in touch with any of us you can get in touch with me at on Ravelry as aka Millie. There's Karen at Simply Stashless. I can't remember Amy's Rav name. I know it's not something about Amy. Anyway, and then of course there's Giddy Helen for Giddy Knits too. You can contact any of us there. So there you go, about 20 minutes of chatter. Why don't we get into the FOs, or the reviewing, or the case notes, I'm sorry. So, I don't have any case notes for you. I do have case notes, but I don't have any to show you. I'll insert some pictures as we go along, but I finished all of the socks that I was working on. I have, for Mother's Day. So I finished 2 pairs of Rose City rollers, and I'll insert a picture here of the 2 different kinds. The orange ones are for my sister Shannon, and you can see here, there's her picture of her wearing the orange socks that I gave her. I was too impatient. I knew she was not going to be here for Mother's Day, so I gave them to her last Saturday when we were all together. And then the blue ones with the contrasting orange are for my sister-in-law Mary, and I shipped that up to her on Monday along with the other things. So I'd already finished the Madrona self-striping socks that I knit with oh my goodness, I am such a bad person. I knit with one of my favorite socks, my favorite yarns, and I'll insert the name right here because I can't remember. Anyway, and I sent those up to my sisters this last week as well, and hopefully they'll have probably gotten them yesterday, if not today, and hopefully they wait till Mother's Day to open them. Then I finished my speckled space socks for my mom, and I was impatient there too, and I had them all finished, and I was giving the one sock to Shannon, and I was just like, oh, I just really want my mom to have hers, and so I gave her hers as well, so I'll insert a picture of hers as well. And surprisingly, they're too big for her. 64 stitches around is just too big for her, even with her feet swelling like they do sometimes. But she says she doesn't mind because knowing her, even though they're super wash yarn, she'll find a way to shrink them down. And all by accident. She gets really nervous when I knit her socks because she always feels that she ruins them. And I'm just like, you know, Mom, if I felt that way, I wouldn't continue to knit you socks. So get over yourself. But they're super beautiful, super comfy. She loved them. And it made me feel really good. My sister-in-law, Shannon, when I gave her the socks and she saw them, she's like, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. And she's just so cute. But they all deserved it. So those are my case notes for the week. All right. So let's get into what's in session. Let's look at something a little different than socks for just a minute, shall we? So I broke back out my Find Your Fade shawl, which everybody knows what that one is. And honestly, the sticky note that I put to mark where I was fell off. So I had to figure out where I was, and my numbers didn't match up, and so it took quite a while. But it looks like I'm on the part now where, so I was increasing, and now we're going to create that, you know, we're going to start changing how things work. So Watson's getting annoyed. He's getting down. So technically, I haven't really moved very much, because if you also recall, the reason why I put this aside was because Watson had chewed up my stitch marker, so the rose is now gone, and I was really upset. And so I put this into timeout, not because I didn't like the pattern or anything, but because I was so upset about the situation. Because it looked like things had been messed up and all kinds of stuff. So my stitch count was off. I don't know if it was because of that. So anyway, I was just trying to figure things out. So I think I got in about 4 rows since the last time you and I spoke. And that's about it. And but I also want to double check one more time to make sure that I am at the right spot for that, and for the starting the different sections. So this is my Malabrigo in the Outlander colorway that I'm knitting on right now. And to tell you the truth, I can't remember what comes next. Probably this guy, which I believe is, oh yeah, this is Dream in Color Smooshy. And I think that's what's going to come next because I like these two together. I think that looks really beautiful. So, and I'm just going to continue my fade. I really would like to have my fade. So, these are all just scraps. Some of them I don't know what they are. I know this one's like graffiti, something or other, colorway. This one was a solid color. And this one was from some socks that I knit my mom way back in the day. Don't know it now. And you know, it comes and goes. Sometimes I like the way these two blend into each other, and other times I really dislike it. But I'm going to leave it. And I'm just going to see how things go. And, you know, I might be one of those crazy women who casts on another Find Your Fade after I'm done. They're still selling kits all over the place for the Find Your Fade, and I'm in love with all of them. I like the idea of somebody else picking out all of the colors for me. So then, a couple weeks ago, I cast on, maybe it was just 2 weeks ago, maybe a week and a half, I cast on another pair of socks. I have it in my something or other. What is this called? My baggie. So it's in my baggie. It's the ones that have the mesh, and then this the clip, the snap closures, and then it's got this guy here, which I love. I love this one. I love how much it smushes down and everything. So I got out the crayon colorway from Happy Feet. Whoa, this skein is a mess. It's been through the ringer, I tell ya. That I got down in Seaside. And I cast on some socks using US zeros. So I still cast on 60 stitches around. And I did the Hermione's Everyday socks. And I really love it. And apparently everybody does too. Here's what it looks like on the foot when it's not when it's stocking knit. It's really gorgeous. And I keep measuring from my heel, from where my heel seam starts down to my toes, and I keep I'll knit and I'll knit and I'll knit and I'll measure again, and it hasn't grown an inch. Not even a quarter of an inch. I'm gonna check right now. If it is at 5 1/4 inch still, I am going to be ticked. Because the last time I checked it, that's where it was. Oops, I'm on the centimeter side. Okay, so there we are. Okay, so apparently it has grown to 5 3/4. So I want to knit this to 6 1/4, and then I'm going to start my toe. Maybe even a little bit more than 6 1/4. Or no, 6 1/4, and I'm going to start my toe. So that's that, and it's just been fun. I've been, you know, it's only been knit on. I don't knit on it at home. I knit on it when my husband takes me out to dinner. Oh, ow. These Addy Turbos keep stabbing me everywhere. Oh. Anyway, so, and I knit on it when I was hanging out with the family last weekend, but I wouldn't even get half a row in before I would get distracted with my family. And so, you know, it's really slow going. But I don't mind, because I'm always going to have socks on the needles, so, you know, there you go. And then there's only one other thing that I've got actively on the needles right now, and it's a surprise. I've been designing, see, I'll flash you. This, mind you, this is my 5th or 7th draft. You can't see any of it. Anyway, so I've had this design for a shawl in my head for a couple months now, and I finally drew it out and I sent it to a couple of my friends, and they thought it looked really cool and that I should try finally designing it. My head doesn't generally work that way very well, so this has been a real struggle for me. I can knit socks perfectly fine and all that. I mean, design socks and things like that perfectly fine, but for some reason a shawl, or heaven forbid a sweater, oof. So I knit up so I drew it out, and then I wrote up what I thought would be correct from my design onto paper. But then when I knitted up on my sample, as a sample, I really hated it. And I was like, this is not what I had envisioned. So then I went back and tried again. And then I tried again. And then through the process, about the third time or fourth time I did that on my sample yarn, I was just like, you know what I think the problem is? I just need to knit and rewrite as I'm knitting. And that's what's worked for me. So I got out my actual yarn that I want to knit, and this is the Peggy May yarn that I got inspired to buy, or what have you, by DM Brown. And I had this sock yarn. I knew that this sock yarn was going to be one of the colors. So I just started knitting, and then I had to rip it out maybe 2 more times, but I finally got it, and it's exactly how I had envisioned it in my head. And this, it's not going to look like much because, you know, it doesn't look like much. But anyway, so then contrasting to that, there's some purple, which I know that I had a yarn barf, so I had to throw that out last night. But it was about 11 p.m. last night, and I was like, oh, I just gotta throw it back in the bag and go to bed. And then to contrast all of that, do I have, oh yeah, here it is. My Lemonade Shop in the Goldfish colorway. I love the Lemonade Shop in the Goldfish colorway. It's not being Watson, no. Hey. Hold on, guys. Pardon the interruption by my dog, guys. So I have the goldfish colorway. So I'm designing a shawl with these 3 colors. I hope you like it. And I have it on good authority that a couple of my friends have said that they haven't seen a shawl out there exactly of this kind of design. And so that's something that I don't want to sit there and put out something that everybody else has, or because I get rather frustrated. I'll sit there and I'll see a design out there, then somebody is charging $6 for it, and it's something, it's like a simplified cowl, or some socks that I already know the stitch pattern for, so why would I pay $6 for it when I can just do it? You literally went to a stitch dictionary, pulled out a stitch pattern, applied it to the numbers that you needed for the sock, and then charging me $6 for that. Well, the thing is I do that already, and I give those patterns away for free online. Or when I see a bunch of designers, you know, there'll be a rush of where a designer will come out with this design, and then a whole bunch of other designers will copycat that other designer, and then this designer will just stick with that design, but they'll what's the word? They'll edit it slightly or change 1 or 2 elements in it, and then but resell it again for like $6. And now things are, I feel like I'm sounding rude, because believe me, I can understand the frustration and the trials that designers go through to design a product and put it out there. I'm not trying to take away from any designer whatsoever, and I pay for designs all the time. I mean, I'm knitting on the Find Your Fade, and I have quite a few Joji Locatellis, and see, and there's some designers where they're worth the patterns, because while the pattern itself seems simple, the design elements in it are surprisingly complex, and yet the designer has designed the pattern to be so, like, natural, I guess, in how you do it, that ingenious, that you're excited about the pattern, right? And those are the types of patterns that I love to purchase and to support. However, when it's just like a swath of fabric that you've gone to a stitch dictionary, pulled out a stitch pattern and put it on the fabric, not so happy to support you on that one, my friend. I'm sorry. Does that make sense? Do I sound like bad? I've talked to a couple friends about this, and there seems to be an element of frustration going around the community right now, at least with some of the people that I talk to. about this frustration. And so when I sat down to design this shawl, I wanted to make sure there is another shawl that's, well, it's not, it's like it has the same idea, but this designer does it completely differently than how I have envisioned in my head. And honestly speaking, it doesn't really match up at all with what I'm doing. Does that make, I hope that makes sense. So, because if somebody else had already designed this, then I would have already just gone and bought the pattern, because this design is something that I would buy. Does that make sense? I'm not trying, but my hope and my plan is to, by the way, I have this in my Rested Stitch bag that I got from my good friend. My hope and my plan is that I'll have this design all done and ready to go for you guys. Now, there may still be a few edits that need to happen, but I am going to be giving it away for free. I don't know for how long, but at least for the beginning of the maybe indefinitely, I don't know. For the beginning of the craft along, the Super Summer Stripe craft along. That is if I get it done. But since I finally have hit on the formula that works, I'm hoping that everything else will go smoothly. There's going to be at least one other section of the shawl in which I'm going to need to really work out as I go along, if that makes sense. So, and I have in my head how I think it should go. It should. See, I'm using the words that I don't particularly enjoy. I have in my head the way I believe it will go. That makes sense to me as a knitter and with construction. However, you know, I might be proven wrong. I might have to come up with another way to do it. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, so those are my in-session my projects. And now that I've rambled on about that, I have in my toolbox, and I got my package. I'm in a swap group for romance readers, and I love it. All these women are like me, and I was so happy to get this teamed up with this lovely lady, Melinda, who actually ends up living here in the Portland area. And I felt so bad because she put it in a priority box and mailed it to me, and I'm like, whoa, sorry guys, didn't mean to do that. And I'm like, we could have driven and meeting up so you wouldn't have had to pay all that money. I'm so sorry. But the things she sent me are gorgeous. Now, I have to get out the note because you know me and names and getting things wrong, and I don't want to get this wrong because it's so beautiful. Okay. Here it is. So this skein is from Maker's Haven. I guess previously she was named... The yarn is actually Maker's Haven before she rebranded. She's on Etsy, and I hope you love the yarn. So, I do. This reminds me of a garden. And I love every yarn that reminds me of a garden. I'm so happy with it. I don't have a tag, so I don't know what it is. But it doesn't matter. I'm going to call it my garden haven. My garden haven. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, and the speckles and everything. And then she sent me a bunch of books. So 3 books total. So she sent me even a signed copy, one of her own that she had because I love historical romances. And so she's wanted to send me a historical romance. So she had one on her bookshelf that she wanted to send me, but it was signed by the author to her, Melinda. That just makes it even more special, Melinda. No need to apologize at all for that. I just think that's wonderful. And I haven't heard of this lady, Jerry Russell. It's called Seducing the Night. And the back says, their journey will take them... Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. I need to start at the correct spot. A princess in hiding. A Templar knight bound by duty, but burning with desire. A search for the legendary Ark of the Covenant. There we go. Their journey will take them thousands of miles from the deserts in the cradle of civilization to the misty, heathered highlands of Scotland. Along the way, they will face storms, treachery, and an army of assassins. Sounds kind of like Tolkien. But for these two who thrive on adventure, the greatest risk of all is abandoning themselves to the pleasures they find in each other's arms. So, Romantic Times book review says, medieval enthusiasts will thrill to this adventurous love story. Okay, so we know how I feel about books and one-liners. Now, I have reserved reading the beginning line of this book until now. So we could read it together. Now, it has a little marker at the beginning. From the author. The Ark of the Covenant is perhaps the most sacred object mentioned in the Bible. It is said to have contained the stone tablets upon which the Ten Commandments were inscribed by the hand of God. Legends about the Ark's location and purpose are many. This story is just one fictional interpretation. I think currently they're saying that they believe the Ark of the Covenant will be found in Ethiopia. But I think that's the current mode of thinking. So, all right. So here's the first line. Teba, T-E-B-A, Spain, 1331. Ooh. Jessamine, Burundi ran through the streets toward her only hope. Toward her only hope. That was the first line. Her mother's church, a place of refuge and sanctuary. The church had to protect her from the Konda. I like stories. What I find challenging is when the names are such that you don't know how to pronounce them. And they use a name like the Konda or the Kond. But I'm excited about this. And then I got a bookmark. I never had bookmarks. And it's from Jerry Russell. You know what? I wonder. Melinda, were you at the romantic... Well, I need to the Powell's Books gathering of people. Lisa Kleypes was there. Julia Quinn. A couple local authors from the Portland and Seattle area. They were really great. It was awesome. I need to keep going to these things because I really enjoyed myself. And I brought at the time, the lady was my boss, but we were also really good friends. And she likes romance novels as well. So we went together, so it was really good. She likes modern day, and I'm getting into modern days. So, she also sent me Shawl 2, On the Go. And I looked through this. It's from Vogue Knitting. And there's got some interesting things. They've got a lot of instructional things. Like at the beginning, they talk about how to make tassels. How to make, what's this one? A knit a cast on, or how to make fringe, working a yarn over, or even the Kitchener stitch, which I'm not sure. I couldn't tell if one of these patterns had a Kitchener stitch. But then they also have a glossary of crocheted stitches as well. This is a font of knowledge. Most of these shawls are not really, I find them fascinating. I would do them a little differently, but I like this. I don't like the fringe, but I like this. It's a fascinating thing to do. It's actually relatively simple, but the way they do it is ingenious. But they just have, and this one was very interesting. I'd never seen anything like this. You see how they knit the shawl or the capelet, but then they did the yarn overs or something like that, and they put through a like chiffon scarf or something. I thought that was fascinating. I could see my mom wearing that. And then there's some really stunning things, like this beaded, I'm trying not to get the pattern in. I mean, I'm trying to get the picture in, but not the pattern. The beaded lace scarf. But I was looking at all of these. Oh, this one's awesome, guys. Look at this. They call it the stained glass window. Sure. I love it. But I thought I would put this. Oh, this is so pretty. The waving stand. Waving leaf. I can't tell if you guys can see that. Anyway, I thought I'd put this into our prize basket to give away to you. So I'm going to do that right now. Thank you, Melinda. And then, of course, she sent me another book. I have such a wonderful collection of her books. And I don't have this one. Or I do now. By Georgette Heyer, The Unknown Ajax. Now, Georgette Heyer wrote at the beginning of the turn of the century, like in the 1900s. And back then there was a lot of hyperbole, a lot of exclamation marks used all over the place, especially with, I'll be bound he is! Exclamation mark, said Matthew. Well, it is enough to put a saint out of temper! Exclamation mark. What's more, I shouldn't wonder at it if the fellow's an imposter! Exclamation mark. So, like, every single sentence has an exclamation mark. I love it. And she does it with everybody. Oh, my dear Matthew, nothing! Exclamation mark. Right? That kind of thing. Anywho, I love her. So this one, oh, did I get another bookmark in here? And I didn't notice it? Oh, I do! So this one is fulfill objectives to complete quests and earn badges. Learn, create, connect, discover. Questscouts.com. So it's probably a scouting thing. So anyway, this one is about, let's see, a past dispute. When the irascible Lord Derricott's eldest son dies unexpectedly, the noble family must accept their strange Yorkshire cousin as the heir apparent. They are convinced he will prove to be a sadly vulgar person, but nothing could have prepared the beleaguered family for the arrival of Major Hugo Derricott. A present deception. His clever and beautiful cousin Anthea is sure there's more to the gentle giant than Hugo's innocent blue eyes and broad Yorkshire brogue would lead one to believe. But even she doesn't guess what he's capable of until a family crisis arises, and only Hugo can preserve the family's honor, leading everybody on a merry chase in the process. So she was the queen of comedy, of deception, but with an air of lightheartedness that she took very serious subjects like women's rights and things like that. And this is written in the early 1900s. I wonder if they say when it was first printed. Copyright 1959 by Georgette Heyer. So so it wasn't as early as I thought she was. Oh, look! Got all of her book covers in there. Man, I am sorely lacking in quite a few of these. So anyway, she was just the queen of this. And it's clean fun. There's no sex in there. It's very Jane Austen-esque. Very. But with hyperboles. And a little bit more, okay. With Jane Austen, you kind of had to understand the humor of the times of the Regency era in order to understand the humor in her works. Well, in this one, it's a lot more approachable, her humor, if that makes sense. And then she sent me this beautiful box. I'm going to use it like I use all my boxes for holding doodads for my knitting. And then she sent me 2 teas. And this is a cold brew tea. So I'm really excited about this. And it's mixed berries, so I believe it's herbal. Wait, no. They have black iced tea in there. So, you know, I might cheat and have one. Anywho, that was my one thing that I got the past 3 weeks. And I was really happy with it. It was my fault. For a long time, I thought that I didn't receive my package. And I was emailing back and PMing back and forth between Melinda and the lady who was running the swap. And I was just like, I don't understand why it says it's been delivered. It hasn't been delivered. And then for some odd reason, it finally dawned on me. Oh, no, it didn't. I had gone down to the clubhouse for our apartment complex, and I'd asked them if they had this package. I'd asked them probably 2 or 3 times, and every single time they said no, they haven't received it. And I'm like, I don't understand. I called the post office, they said they delivered it and everything, and I was just like, I'm so confused. And finally I went down there one last time, and it was a different employee than I had worked with previously, and they started looking for it, and it was there. It was just underneath a huge pile of other packages that had been waiting for pickup. And so I finally got it, and I felt so bad because I felt like I was making such a hoopla about the package not being delivered, but it wasn't my swap partner's fault at all. She is a gem, and I'd swap with her again anytime because she's got me down, man. Anywho, that's the podcast for the week. I hope you all enjoy it. When anybody who's won in the 100 subscriber giveaway or last April's double dip cow, please get in touch with me via Ravelry, and I'll ship those out to you. Keep in mind that the knit along or craft along for super. I don't know why I keep wanting to put super in front of that. For the summer craft along summer stripe along craft along. Got it. Starts June 1st, so that's just 2 weeks away. And I know so many of us are like really antsy. We keep writing back and forth to each other, messaging, that we just can't wait to cast on all the stripes. So, but I hope you join us for all of those lovely things. I hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day this weekend. To all you mothers, or to all you hopeful mothers, or to all you mothers of the heart, happy Mother's Day. Know that you are loved and appreciated, and that you do more for humanity and for the people in this world than can ever be expressed. And please always remember that you are honored and cherished. And though human frailty is such that we a lot of times struggle to express our deep love and appreciation for these people. And so take it from me, because I struggle. Even though I'm very verbose and I speak to my mother all the time, I still struggle with adequately describing the depth to which I love and adore her. And same with my sisters, my grandmother, all the mother figures in my life, my best friend's mom. I'm constantly in awe of you. So happy Mother's Day to you all, and I will see you around the corner. Take care. Oh, and remember, knit what you love and love what you knit.